Our Lego City is really starting to come together. We've got the layout complete. We've got all of the modular buildings incorporated in the layout, a few other buildings like Avengers Tower, a couple mocks that I've done. We just got the freeway done over there. And we still have some open spots here that we want to add a few things. And I got to thinking about, what do the people of HOF City need? I think they need some more fine dining options. So let's give them Krusty Burger. I just knew I needed this set for our city just because I love pop culture. There's all kinds of references to it throughout the city, and this looked pretty cool. I'd seen some good reviews about it, and I figured let's go ahead and grab it. Love the minifigures between Homer and Bart and Maggie, but by far my favorite is Sideshow Bob. Fantastic minifigure. Almost makes up for the fact that we have to do 40 stickers in this set. So we dive into the construction, and first thing, you build Krusty's car, which is pretty neat, and then you dive into building the restaurant. And I like to rip on Lego for having all the stickers. I wish that these were printed pieces, but there are so many references to the show packed into this set. A lot of them are in the stickers. So they are a necessary evil here. And here's a couple of my favorites. All are callbacks to jokes from the show. And there's plenty more packed into this set. So as we continue into the build, I'm starting to think ahead about how I'm going to integrate this into the city, because as you've seen, we're all modular and everything is built on our take on Mills plates. But we'll get into more of that later. Now we'll finish off this build with adding the roof, which I wasn't a huge fan of how this is constructed, but again, when you're doing angles in Lego, there's only so many options that you have. Bottom line, it looks like it does in the show, and that's awesome. Now I want to give you a closer look at the iconic Krusty Burger sign that goes outside the restaurant. It's really cool how they use a lot of different plates to make Krusty's head. But the real key here is the stickers. And you notice here, as I'm applying the mouth, it comes in two different stickers. So it's really important to get the stickers on the edge of the pieces. You can see here, this needs to be aligned on the bottom. And then this is his tongue, which is going underneath. Again, it has to be aligned right on the edge of the tile to be able to make everything look good. And you can see there, when those go together, that's how it's supposed to look. So now we're going to do the eyes with these 2x2 white tiles. And the key is you need to put the eyeballs on there. Well, this is noted in the instructions, but it's very subtle. You know, with Krusty and with really most Simpsons characters, the eyeballs are never really in the exact center. They're off centered a little bit. So what I recommend doing is, like I do here, put those tiles on first, and then you're supposed to orient the eyeballs to the outside of the tile. It's really kind of tricky to do, but it's easier to do when you have the tiles already on the head. So the sign is done and the whole build is complete. And now it's time to really start thinking about how we're going to integrate this into our modular city. So everything we build for our Lego city is done in 16 by 16 increments, like one of these plates. Everything you'll see here fits into that kind of a grid. For example, most modular buildings official from Lego are 32 by 32, or some semblance of that. Some of them are like 32 by 48. Again, as long as you stick to building things on this grid, then you can integrate things into this city. So integrating Krusty Burger into that grid is going to be a bit of a challenge. Now, just looking at the building, here are 4 of those 16 by 16 plates. This makes a 32 by 32, and that almost fits perfect onto that. Okay, but it's not that simple. When you look at the building and you realize it's got basically 3 sides you want to keep kind of open, like see the drive-through goes through here, and then people pull around and pull up to the window to get their food. And then this is kind of like the front of the building. Now, this is probably the front. This is more of a side. But again, I'm not sure if you want to stick this like a regular Lego modular and have big buildings on the other side. That's not going to really look very good. Also have to keep in mind this building opens up like this. Okay. So again, you're not going to be able to open it up, and if you've got it packed into some place where there's buildings on the side or in the back. You also want to think about having a place for the drive-through. So instead of that 32 by 32, what I'm thinking about is actually something that is 48 by 48. Now let me show you here. There are, so that's 9 of the 16 by 16 plates. You set this on there, okay, kind of like this, kind of roughly in the middle, something like that. So what I'm envisioning doing is, if you do this, then this can kind of, this side here can kind of become the front. You do a sidewalk here, and then we're going to have a drive-through lane that starts, if the road is going to be here, then the drive-through lane can kind of wrap around the building, go here to order your food, and then come around here, pick up your food, and go back out to the street. That's kind of what I have in my mind. Let's go see if that's going to work in actuality. We start with the same basic grid on every one of our landscaping plates. This is a pretty unique build though, and we deviate pretty quickly from our standard template because we are integrating a drive-through around the building. And I want to build that drive-through very much like we build our other roads. Make it black and also use bricks on their side so we're not using as many tiles. I think it's going to keep the cost down. Now here's one of those black drive-through pieces that you saw me installing. Again, it's very much, this is just a bunch of bricks and plates that are on their side, and then this bracket piece right here is used to connect to the main frame. Building our driveways like this allows us to use a lot less tiles, just using the smooth sides of the bricks. And then you can use some snot pieces like I just showed you to be able to connect everything. So we continue constructing the drive-through lane going all the way around the outside of this plate. You'll see me put the building in the middle of this quite often and take a lot of measurements with my red Lego ruler, which you see there on the right. It's important to get the measurements correct as we have to be very precise in where we put the building. The original Krusty Burger build has a good solid plate underneath, so I don't think we need to fill in what you see on the inside of this build here. We do need to take into account the fact that the building opens horizontally, so that's what you see with those orange tiles there. Under there is where things are going to be able to open up. So our plate is complete, and now let's set the building on here. We have to, again, be very precise so it sits on the frame correctly. And what's going to happen then is we press it down and connect it to those light bluish gray plates that were exposed. Okay, so now what happens is, where we left those orange plates, this will be able to open up just like that. Now you can't open it quite all the way because of these plates I have on the side, but again, it's pretty good. You'll be able to access the middle of the building. Now a few more finishing touches, repositioning the in and the out signs so that people know where to go in. And then this, since the door opened over the drive-through lane, we added this little crosswalk there. Then we finished off the sidewalk, repositioning the mailbox, and then the front of the building, we left a little spot in the tiles because we're going to build a nice little flower arrangement that's actually going to hold the signage as well. So you'll notice the color of this arrangement, we are matching the colors that are in the building, including the orange and purple flowers. Now it's time to place it in the city. And I'm not sure right away if I like this location because it gets a little bit lost because it's a lower profile building, but it fits right on that street. It's very nice in that spot, at least for now. I had a lot of fun with this build, and I'm real happy with how I was able to get this into our modular system. Would love to hear what you guys think about it.